Today I'm going to talk about Honda Navi Economy. There's a lot of sides to this economy story. Starting off with a very low price, one of the more inexpensive motorcycles to start with. So this is my ongoing spreadsheet tracking the fuel economy, and it was at 106 miles per gallon average. Now it's up to 108.7. And the reason I'm doing a average over many fuel tankfuls is to get a more realistic average. And as you can see, the high one was 152.1, which is probably an error from not filling the tank up to exactly the same level each time. So I use an average, and that gives me much more reasonable numbers. And so I'm running right now at about 38 kilometers per liter of fuel, which is pretty darn good, which would give me an estimate of 135 kilometers per tank full if I ran it completely empty. So let's not kid ourselves. The cost of the vehicle, the immediate amount of cash you have to put down or credit to get a motorcycle, is very important. The Honda Navi is about half the price of other 125cc mini bikes, and this particular one I got a really good deal on, because it is actually a demo that had 3 kilometers on it, and it had been sitting in a shop for who knows how long, at least 3-4 years old now. So this is 2026, and this is a 2022 model of Honda Navi. And what got me into buying this was a lot of favorable reviews on YouTube, a lot of people doing all kinds of interesting stuff with it, modifications, exploring the limits of its capabilities, and how economical it is to use. It's just a very inexpensive machine to get into. This one here cost me $2,100 Canadian, and right now the going price is around $3,000 for a new one, plus about $500 for the dealer fees and stuff. And yeah, I got this one for $2,100, so I saved big. It's I think it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities that if you're there at the right time and you decide to buy it, then you get the deal. If you wait too long, it's going to be gone. So let's go on to the next section. So the Honda Navi Economy, this is barely almost 8 horsepower, and obviously if you hold the throttle open completely all the time, you're going to get much worse fuel mileage. It's meant to get up to 70 kilometers an hour quite easily. 80 it can do, but it's going to take a while. So it's not for everybody. For running around the city, running around back roads and stuff, it's plenty fast enough to go long distance on. So the thing with the Honda Navi is, it is not the latest and greatest in technology. And that means you can save big time, because the more technology there is, it tends to require more specialized tools, much higher shop rates. In fact, I can tell you a story about a shop that recently went under. So last year I took my other motorcycle in to get the valves set on it, because I haven't done it in many years, like 30-40 years. Don't want to give away my age, but I used to do some of that stuff on my 2-strokes and some of the other bikes, and it's been a while, and I never did learn properly, so I hired a mechanic to show me how to do that, and that was exactly what I needed, because some of these things you can't learn from a book. You have to experience, the gap tolerance and what's right, when it's causing too much drag on your feeler gauge. Is that good? Is that bad? Is it too tight, too loose, whatever. So some things you can't do that way. With the Navi, it's not fuel injection, so you're not going to get absolute highest fuel mileage possible, but to keep it running, it's not going to cost you an arm or a leg either, and that's where it really excels. To do the valves on this Honda Navi, I was able to do that in an afternoon. There's only a couple of things that need to be taken off to get access to the valves so you can adjust them. And compare that with my CBR 125, also a Honda. I had to disassemble the entire bike to be able to even get access to the engine. And of course, if you take such a bike to a shop and they're going to spend 2 hours disassembling, taking the plastic off, lifting the tank, take seats off, all that kind of stuff, to even get to the motor, you're already down probably at least $200 to $400 a year paying just to disassemble it. And that is really what pushes this high-end technology, because the shops make a lot of money on it because nobody wants to do that work. And so getting the latest and greatest and with all the plastic fairings and everything on it, that is going to cost you big in the long run. They quoted me $400 to do the valves when I took the bike down. All they did was charge me $400 to replace the air filter on it. They never did get to the valves. And they wanted to charge me another $350. Who knows why? Maybe they figured it just wasn't worth it unless they got another $350 out of the deal. But I kind of figure if they charge $400 to get the air filter changed, something that's not going to take very long, then they're really scamming people. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, this year I looked on the map and it said they're permanently closed. They've gone out of business, and I can only wonder why. If it costs you that much money to tune up a lawnmower-sized engine on a motorcycle, try something else. Get a different bike that's easy to work on. Like the old classic ones that the motor was just sitting out in the open, you could get to it. So the ease of disassembly is a big thing that factors into the cost of maintenance when you take it to a shop. And nowadays, their prices are insane. They're charging close to $200 an hour. Do you want to pay $400 every time they have to disassemble your motorcycle to work on it before they even get to the work? And so this is where do-it-yourself is the best way to go if you're handy with tools and you know how to do the work. If you're not handy, it's often cheaper just to hire a mechanic. Say, here, I'll give you $50. I adjusted the valves. I want you to come down and tell me if it's done right or not. And that's what I did. And now after I learned how to do that, I went from doing it on the CBR 125 to doing the Honda Navi in no time at all in one afternoon. And now I'm not paying $200 an hour. I'm paying myself the $200 by doing it myself. And the Navi is not that complicated mechanically compared to a lot of other bikes. And that really makes a big difference in the long run, because sure, you might be able to get a bike at a good price, but how much is it going to cost you every year for maintenance on top of it? How much is it going to cost you for gas and oil and all the regular stuff that you need to replace, like oil filters? Navi doesn't have an oil filter. It's got an oil screen. And it's so simple. You just turn this bolt, unscrew it, and there's a screen in there. Take it out, wash it out, stick it back in. And the same thing with draining the oil. Just one bolt, unscrew it, let it drain, and you use 700 to 800 milliliters of oil to fill it up. That's it. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to get the oil to fill it up. So let's go in the store and get some cash on the machine. Pardon? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, just for pump 3. So I'll come back later after I fill up. Yeah, just number 3. Okay. Okay. So usually when I go to fill up, depending how far I run it down, it's anywhere from $2 to $4 a fill up, and that gives me a couple of days of riding, so I can do quite a few miles on it, maybe 40 kilometers a day, and then second day it's getting down to empty, so got to fill it up. And here is my spreadsheet again, running total to see what fuel economy the Honda Navi gets, and it was at 106 miles per gallon average last time I checked, but now it's up to 108.7, almost 109. And the reason I do a running average is because on such a small tank, if you don't fill it up to exactly the same level, you can get large errors in it. So for example, it says 152 miles per gallon. No, it's probably an error where I didn't put in quite as much gas as I did the time before. So you can see that most of the time it's around 100 to 120 miles per gallon, which is pretty darn good for an inexpensive motorcycle. So you don't get soaked on the price, and you don't get soaked on the fuel economy, and you don't get soaked on it being so technologically advanced that almost nobody can do it unless you've got a lot of specialized tools and you want to pay $200 an hour to a shop. So for a lot of people, now that the economy is getting worse and the world forums have decided that they're going to make everything expensive for people and have wars and all these kind of things, normal going on planet Earth, and all of this stuff is making the fuel costs go crazy. Last time I filled up, it was $1.80 a liter for fuel, and when my wife goes to fill up the car, it's about 80 to $100 now. Never used to be that bad. And so for me to fill up my motorcycles, and both of them are getting close to 39 kilometers per liter, that I just laugh when I go to fill up, because it's not going to cost me a lot. I'm going to be able to do a lot more riding and traveling on practically nothing. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand when they buy the latest and the greatest, right? The more it's going to cost you to run and maintain it and everything else, the less you're going to be able to use it. So on this fill up, it's going to run me $4.15, and it was getting down there pretty low, so that's why it's taking so much gas this time around. And I believe it's at around $1.80, $1.81 per liter now, which is absolutely insane. Even Costco prices are just getting crazy. It's quite a few more kilometers to get to Costco, and filling up a small tank like this with 3.5 liters of fuel at the most isn't going to break the bank. So I usually just hop down to this store here and get it filled up. Yes, it won't print the ticket because there's something wrong with the machine. But it is one of the cheaper places to fill up in town, right nearby. So that's what I'm saying. If it's going to cost you next to nothing to run it, you're going to be out doing a lot more riding than complaining about the fuel prices. So let's go inside and pay the bill.
Oh, excuse me.
Remember when you were a teenager?
Yeah,
Subbing
yeah.
the Slurpees?
No, I never hung around stores. There weren't any close by.
Well, I haven't had a Slurpee since I was a teenager. It was a thing back then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, pump 3. Yep. Okay, and a receipt too, please. Okay, thanks.
So I actually got back quite a bit of cash from a 10 here. I still got $5 worth plus change, and that'll last me for a couple of more fill-ups probably if I top up at half a tank. And so you see, the thing that determines wealth in a way, you can either work yourself to death, or you can find more economical ways to avoid a lot of expenses like $200 an hour tune-ups, and learn to do the work yourself. It makes you more self-sufficient, and that is always good for the economy, because when you have the money to spend, you spend it, and when times are tough like they are now, then guess what? It's not going to change us much, because we're going to have that covered with the Honda Navi and not having huge bills or very expensive machines. Mind you, the Honda Navi, it's not going to work very well on the highways when you're in a lot of traffic, but in a lot of places it's not a big issue. You can get up to 80 kilometers an hour. Many of the main highways have a paved shoulder that you could use if there's a lot of traffic on it. Some certain times of the day there's not much traffic out there, so you can use the whole road if you want. So with the Honda Navi here, you got to hold the front brake lever, twist the throttle a little bit, and hit the starter button, and then we're off and running. And that's how it's done. The one thing that really makes Honda Navi unusual is it has a parking brake, because after all it is an automatic, and it just stays in neutral all the time, so you need a parking brake for it. But I kind of like the little quirks on the Honda Navi. It's what makes it really interesting to ride. It's not the usual boring motorcycle, first gear, second gear, especially in heavy traffic, going up and down like that through all the gears, because motorcycles' transmissions are sequential. You got to go up a gear or down a gear all the time. When you're constantly doing that, it really disrupts the enjoyment of the ride. So with the Honda Navi, you just crank the throttle, and it's very much like, reminds me of my old Mobilette Moto Cane moped, which would get me up to at least 70 kilometers an hour. Sometimes the odd time it would get me up to 80, which was pretty good for a 50cc motor. And it had huge cooling fins on it for the size of the motor, because they run at full power most of the time. So that's it on the Honda Navi Economy. Enjoy.